The consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. I'm ready to deal with him now and 3 years from now.
President Biden has tested positive for COVID.
I was just on the phone with President Biden. He shared his deep disappointment at not being able to join us this afternoon.
This is video of President Biden returning to his Delaware home last night.
I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot.
I agree.
Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Yes, by now everyone's heard the big news. Joe Biden, according to his campaign, announced, yes, he has COVID. They just announced this yesterday, and I want to play because, look, there's a lot of speculation, and we're going to get into that. The timing of events leading up to this COVID-19 announcement are rather suspicious, I would say, okay? But his campaign manager did want to make it clear for all of you guys speculating, all right, here is what he had to say about Biden's future in the presidential race.
Our campaign is not working through any scenarios where President Biden is not the top of the ticket. He is and will be the Democratic nominee. I think when it comes to if he's open or being receptive to any of that, look, the president has said it several times. He's staying in this race.
Okay, so Don't listen to the speculation. Joe Biden is not dropping out. He is the candidate. Please stop speculating. And also, please stop leaking all of this information to the press, people. Now, to help this, narrative that they're trying to spin, digging in their heels, Joe Biden was trying really hard. I will say he did try really hard to look healthy and, as his doctor said, vigorous, full of vigor for all of these reporters just hours after his diagnosis walking Air Force One. Watch.
Mr. President, how do you feel? How do you feel?
Feels good. Doesn't look great.
Do you have symptoms?
There he goes. Wait, what was that? Sounded like he said, "Don't help me," up the stairs. And while they didn't help, they didn't hold his hand, but it is rather alarming to see the Secret Service. I look kind of similar when I am walking my toddler up the stairs and I'm making sure that he doesn't fall backwards. Like I'm standing below him, kind of bracing myself. So it was not lost on me. The Secret Service guy at the bottom of the stairs seemed to have the same mentality. But regardless of what Biden's campaign is saying, I'm just saying, seems like kind of a well-timed, really good excuse to just take the off-ramp and get him off of the ticket, which that the entire Democrat Party has to be wanting to do right now. So a letter to the DNC members, this was sent to the DNC members on Wednesday, said that the party plans to formally nominate Joe Biden in the first week of August. Now, they've pushed that back. I believe that the original was supposed to be July 24th. And this is actually, I'm sure they wanted to push it back further, but there is an Ohio voting law that requires the nominee to be locked in by August 7th to be on the ballot in November. So that is like quite the, just right before the deadline there. Now, I want to go into the timeline here of this unfortunate series of events for Biden. Okay. So June 27th was the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, where finally it was cool again to say, hey, Joe Biden is deteriorating before our very eyes. I mean, we've been saying it for a very long time. Finally, on June 27th, the mainstream media decided they were going to admit what all of us already knew, which is Joe Biden is not there. July 11th comes around, and he had a NATO summit and his big boy press conference. Let's see how that went for him. Can we? Do we have that?
What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, and now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Every election that I ran, and whether it was an on year or off year, I got over 90% of the black vote, and the number of folks participating didn't slow down because it didn't reduce. So look, Trump. Oh, I shouldn't.
I shouldn't say. I shouldn't go on. No, Joe, your brain just did a reboot. It was a blue screen of death in your brain. So that was all June 27th through July 11th. Then we get to July 13th, which was the Trump assassination attempt. July 15th, Donald Trump officially announces that he has picked J.D. Vance as his vice presidential candidate. July 16th, Joe Biden interviews with Lester Holt, which was, again, a total disaster. July 17th, Adam Schiff calls for Joe Biden to drop out. He said, publicly, a statement. He said, while the choice to withdraw from the campaign is President Biden's alone, I believe it is time for him to pass the torch. A second Trump presidency will undermine the very foundation of our democracy, and I have serious concerns about whether the president can defeat Donald Trump in November. Now, I will just say, for clarification here, J.D. Vance was on with Sean Hannity, and going back to this Lester Holt interview, J.D. Vance was on with Sean Hannity, and that viewership doubled the viewership of Joe Biden's interview with Lester Holt. So things are not going great for the Biden campaign. They seem to be imploding. You've got top lawmakers. I think Chuck Schumer is also one of them who are urging Joe Biden to get out of the race. And yet still you have people like Joy Reid, who just yesterday, as they're calling for Joe Biden to step down and get out of the race, attempted to compare Joe Biden's health to the botched Donald Trump assassination. I'd say you won't believe it, but you probably will, because we all know she is that stupid. Watch.
Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
It's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
An elderly man coming through out of an illness. Donald Trump was shot. That's not an illness. Oh my. However much you hate the media, you don't hate them enough. They always continue to just surprise me with how low they can go. So all of this, mainstream media rhetoric is continuing. Oh, but Joe has COVID. He's a hero if he gets over it. Now, I want to go back to July 16th, okay? Because the day before Joe Biden announced he was COVID positive, the no-fly zone alert for pilots already showed he would be at his beach house in Rehoboth Beach for 4 days from Wednesday night to Sunday night, which looks like a planned recuperation, right? Like, that seems strange. Did he already know that he was going to test positive for COVID? Did he test positive for COVID and they didn't tell us until later? I don't know. But the plot thickens because the following day, July 17th, BET News released a snippet of a pre-recorded interview where Biden gives, he's like, they made all the headlines about it, this one big deal. Joe Biden gives the one reason that he would consider dropping out. Here's that.
Is there anything that you would look to, you personally, not anybody else, not other pundits, not even perhaps family members, that you would look to say, if I see that, I will reevaluate?
If there has some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem.
So tell me how coincidental it is that just hours after this clip was released, Joe Biden's positive COVID test was announced right before he was supposed to give a speech in Nevada. They had to come out to the stage and say, sorry, it's canceled. He's COVID positive. Watch.
I was just on the phone with President Biden, and he shared his deep disappointment at not being able to join us this afternoon. The president has been at many events, as we all know, and he just tested positive for COVID.
Oh, no.
So, of course, we understand that he needs to take the precautions that have been recommended, and he did not obviously want to put anybody at risk.
Now, I don't want to downplay an elderly person having COVID, because now I would say a cold can kill an elderly person, because that's what COVID seems to be these days. But, you know, he is old, so I don't want to downplay that. But I would just like to point out that 20 minutes before this announcement, Joe Biden was spotted at a Mexican restaurant in Nevada getting awfully close to people. Here he is. He's bending down. I think he's trying to sniff this little girl, which is about right. That's very on brand for Joe Biden. But he's shaking hands with people. He's getting in their faces. What? I mean, if we're going to talk about COVID risks, I would think that that's a lot riskier to spread COVID to people than to stand up on a stage away from everybody. Right? Like, seems weird. So Joe Biden canceled his campaign stops now in Vegas. He was going to meet with Black Caucus and Hispanic Caucus. And obviously, I mean, I would say that's kind of a big deal because, you know, Donald Trump he's making headway with those voting demographics. Blacks, he's up 9 points since 2016. He's up 5 points since 2020. Hispanics, he's up 9 points since 2016 and 3 points since 2020. So, I mean, it seems to me like Joe can't really afford to lose any more support than he already is. And I just want to let's just summarize this really quickly, okay? Joe Biden has a lot on the line right now. The momentum has clearly swung in the opposite direction with Donald Trump's assassination attempt and with J.D. Vance being such a strong pick. And so with all of this on the line, Joe Biden's team announces he has COVID hours after an interview is released indicating he would only drop out due to a medical issue. He had to cancel his meetings so he could fly to Delaware to recover, where he was already actually intending to fly earlier this week. We know that now. And he apparently, by the way, didn't know he had COVID 20 minutes prior to this announcement being made because he was out in public getting in people's faces without his sacred mask. And at the same time this is happening, Adam Schiff is publicly calling for Joe to drop out of the race. Reports are now surfacing that Chuck Schumer wants him out, that Obama is allegedly privately pushing for Joe to drop out. All of these big name lawmakers and players are urging Joe Biden to drop out at the same time that he gets COVID, got to rush over to Delaware, even though this trip was already planned. Now, either that is an insane series of coincidences, or the DNC is trying to buy time to get him out. I'll let you decide. But I want to find out what my panel thinks about that coming up next. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Jace Medical. So according to the University of Utah's Drug Information Service, total active drug shortages hit an all-time high of 323 in this year's first quarter. There were 48 new shortages recorded this year just through the month of March. So I would just say if COVID taught us anything, speaking of COVID, if COVID taught us anything back in 2020, it's that you never know when some sort of supply chain issue can just appear. And then you're going to be screwed, especially when you're talking about your medication. All right. Please let me introduce you to the Jace case. It is a personalized emergency kit that contains essential antibiotics and medications that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. They've got 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. And you can also customize. You can add EpiPens. You can add ivermectin. You can customize it to fit your family's needs. I would encourage you to go just be empowered to take your family's health into your own hands. Go to jace.com and enter code Sara at the checkout for a discount. That is promo code Sara at jase.com. Welcome to the show. Matthew Marsden, BlazeTV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, along with Jaco Booyens, of course, BlazeTV contributor and host of The Bottom Line, founder of JBM, Jaco Booyens Ministries. 2 very accomplished men here today. So I was going through this timeline of Joe Biden getting COVID. I find it to be very suspicious, very strangely timed that they've made this announcement and they make this big deal out of a planned trip to Delaware. And at the same time that that's happening, we have Chuck Schumer. I just saw Jamie Raskin, who is urging Joe Biden to drop out. He said something along the lines of like, it's like a tiring pitcher. You're great, but your arm's going to give out. So, it's not you. Right. And so all of these people, Nancy Pelosi, it's crazy. It's Nancy Pelosi, right? Obama. And so I just what are your thoughts on does Biden, first of all, does Biden really have COVID?
Well, I thought when you said it's like a tiring pitcher, I thought like a tiring pitcher of water. I mean, that would be more like it.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, she's talking baseball. You only have so many innings in your arm, and then you got to rest 5 days. And it's just not you. You're a great player. Your arm's just tired, right? You mean the flu? Is that what we're talking about? The flu?
Yeah. Well, I would say a cold at this point.
Cold?
Yes.
Disguised as COVID?
Right.
On the strips that's manipulated by... Right. Let's just go all the way in here. You mean, does he have a cold? Not who doesn't? I mean, is that why...
He took the vaccine.
He took
the vaccine.
Many
Safe
times.
and effective.
Hey, come on.
Safe and effective.
He's 7-time boosted. He's so boosted. He should be like Rocket Man at this point. He should be like Flash. He should go up the steps so fast you can't see him. He's got so many boosters. Right? Come on. Did we not predict that they were absolutely going to crucify this guy when the time was right? They were waiting for the moment, and here's the moment. Right?
Well, I'll go further than that. The 3 of us were on here and we were talking about, would someone try and assassinate Donald Trump? Mm-hmm. We said that. And we said this about when they will cut him off.
Absolutely.
When they can. And do I think he's got COVID? No.
What does that matter?
I don't.
Actually.
I don't. I was going to say it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
But what's interesting, you saw the tweet. It's like, I am sick. Did you see that one? I am sick. I'm like...
Yeah, well, then they used
We've
it
known
as
that for a while, though. It's just above the collarbone. Mentally, he is... I mean that with respect. He needs a lot of care.
Yeah.
He needs a lot of care.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they can convince... obviously, it's not Joe, right? Like, I don't particularly believe that it's Joe calling the shots, but... Last time we heard that there was this discussion taking place after the debate, it was Jill and Hunter who were reportedly the ones who were like urging him to stay in the race because they're the ones who are the beneficiaries of all of this power and influence and have been for a very long time. So, I mean, the question is, don't talk to Joe so much as you need to go talk to his wife.
Jill.
Yeah, on the other side of the room, who's posing for Vogue on the front page in $7,000 power suits. I'm sorry. I meant no disrespect, Dr. Jill.
Where's your...
You're right. That was
get
unprofessional
right.
of me. Dr. Jill.
Dr. Jill. Right? Dr. Evil.
Yeah, I mean, for multiple reasons.
Straight up. I mean...
For multiple reasons.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, so, I mean, it just... Here's the thing. I'm wargaming this out, right? And that's what I do. I'm wargaming this out.
She's serious.
Wait, no, we need some. Can we have some like?
We need paper and strategy.
Yeah, I know. We do.
Things like
We
this.
need to move
Like-
things. We need an aerial shot.
So-
Steven needs a camera up
so
here.
here's-
We need a.
Here's the picture of water.
Yeah.
The picture. I'm going with water.
The tiring picture.
Tiring picture is
Yes.
right there. What happens?
That's Joe. Okay.
That's Joe.
Yes. So what happens? Because even if they say he has to drop out, right? How do you justify? I will drop out of the race, but I'm still fit for the next 5 months.
So that Kamala doesn't take over by default. He's got to ride out. You're making such a critical point. They need him to last through the presidency, but they need him to drop out of the race for the next term.
But how do you make that argument?
You can't, but they're going to try to. You know what?
so hard.
We've determined through very deep analysis, right? Like deep probing, right? That this man has about 4 months left of leading, but he's not going to be fit from January on. That's what's going to happen. They're going to do that.
That's what I'm
otherwise,
saying.
if he leaves tomorrow, Kamala steps in, right?
Well, but all of the calls for him to leave are specifically drop out of the race.
The race, not the president.
They're not saying They're not saying step down. They're saying drop out of the race. But I'm saying, well, if COVID has you left with all of these long-term implications, how are you fine now and not fine in January?
Who makes a nuclear decision in October is what you're saying, or in November, right? Who's running the country?
Like if you're not fit.
But they know he's not running the country, so it's just, Joe, we're gonna give you Mai Tais and give you a little adrenaline at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. through December, and just you're going to ride off into the sunset.
Look, these people, the people who are pulling the strings, because we've said this for ages, right? Like there are puppet masters beyond there doing it. I don't necessarily think they're that smart. I think they're ideologues. And so they're in a position now where, I was watching a live stream with Alex Jones yesterday, and he said that the swing, and he's been right on so much, right? He said the swing now is like 10 to 20 points for Trump right, after what happened. Okay, so that means it's going to be big, right? They cannot win, right? But they cannot win. At this point, they cannot win. So now they're in panic mode.
Yeah.
Because it's moved so far that any kind of cheating, and we've said this over and over and over, and I certainly believe that they cheated in the last election. I don't care what anyone says. I was in California. We actually thought that Trump might have taken California. It was that positive, honestly.
Hold on. You mean to tell me that you don't think that Joe Biden got 81 million votes in the safest and most secure election ever? More votes than Barack Obama?
I mean, when you say it out loud,
More
it's
black votes
so
than
stupid.
Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Let's be real. More black votes than Barack Obama.
Everyone was so passionate about Joe Biden. What are you talking about? I saw Joe Biden signs all over all my neighbors' yards. Oh, wait, that didn't happen.
Yeah, and all across the country, and that didn't happen either, right? I mean, he was like he was the throwaway candidate, right? We all knew that. They were like, okay, let it go. He's going to win again, and we'll recalibrate. And then COVID happened. So I think that we're in a situation where they know they cannot win, right? Because they can't cheat. They're going to try and cheat.
I was going to say they can in many states.
But it's going to be overwhelming, and people are not going to accept it. It's like now people are going, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen that, and I would love to get your thoughts, Jaco. It sounds like you might disagree a little bit, but I have seen reports that say that Democrats on the inside are basically resigning themselves to, okay, Donald Trump is going to be elected, so what now? And we've got to make sure that we get the House and that we keep the Senate.
And remember, we said that too. I really am truly, this is no joke, I'm really proud of this show. And really, Sara creating a place where we can have real conversation, because through COVID, through all this, things are called out on this show that's not even called out on the rest of the network, to be honest with you. We said they're going to play for the House.
Mm-hmm.
We said this months ago, watch out now. Because remember, and I sat in that chair and I said it, and I think it was July was here, and I said, remember, Trump in the White House, but them owning the House and the Senate is a completely hand tied behind his back Trump. Can't get a thing moved. You can't move a thing.
Right.
Because the House controls the purse.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going after the House. And remember I told you I had 4 people in the House, senior members in the House, that told me that if we had a vote that day, that Trump did not have the House. This is a serious concern. So now they'll start playing for the House. Sure, I think they're going to continue to play for the White House as well, but they are really playing for the House. And just imagine, should Trump win, which I want him to, and we lose the House, and he lost the House before. Remember, he had the House and he lost the House, and he got impeached, and the Senate kept him.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have the Senate, and we don't have a path to the Senate, by the way.
Right.
The Senate is going to be left. If the House goes left, or doesn't even have to, it could be a 51-49, but there's 5 committed votes on the other side, it's going to be a tough 4 years because you won't get anything done. You'd have to go executive order on almost everything.
And that's without the deep state, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, we're presuming
that's with corrupt GOP members in the House.
Yeah. I mean, we're assuming he's going to go in and clean house.
You need the House. You need an AG, which we talk about. You need an AG. I pray that if he's listening, please watch this show, President Trump. You should watch this show. But please, for the love of life, put Ken Paxton in as the Attorney General of the United States, because he will go prosecute. Please. And Ken, say yes. Angela, tell your husband to say yes.
Yeah, I can't think of a better AG than that. But you don't agree with that it's going to be...
No, I'll tell you why. I don't think we're leading as much as you think. I know we'd like to. I almost want to ask you as a brother, don't tell people that.
I do.
Because I want them to show up because we have a history of going, we got it.
Right.
It's a shoe in. Fourth quarter, let's go home. And then they throw 4 touchdowns and we go, how did we lose that game?
The reason why I think that we're going to win is because I think that people are motivated to go out. I think it's 2 things. I think what you've got is a complete incompetent man that, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about how corrupt he is and all the other things that are going on with Biden, but clearly, I mean, he's broken, right? I mean, the video.
Matthew, he is, but I want to throw you a caveat.
The thriller dance move?
Yeah, the thriller, but I want to throw you a caveat real quick, okay? They are moving for him to step down. He's going to get a call from Barack Obama that's going to implore him to step down. They're freezing money. He's not going to have support, right? Remember, him stepping out of the race means someone replaces him. Mm-hmm. Let's just for a second have this conversation. If it's Michelle Obama, we have a real problem.
Yeah, that's a disaster.
We have a catastrophic problem because she will remind Black America, my husband. You get Barack back in front of the cameras. You get Barack raising capital like water flowing from who knows where. This is a problem. I don't want Joe to step down. I want Joe to be the nominee. Yeah. If it's Michelle, we have a fight, buddy, because I learned yesterday from a chief economist that's close to Trump that they believe that the cheat factor is 9.5 points. They can cheat to 9.5 points. So if you think we're leading by 10 or 15, they can cheat 9.5. It's what they anticipate. We didn't have a number in 2020. They didn't know how much can they, dead people voting, illegals voting. We believe it's, and I had this guy in my office yesterday, an economist. They believe it's 9.5 points. So I hope we're leading by 20, but it's not 20. It's more like 10. And then you want the evangelical Christians to show up and vote, actually. So I want to tell America we're way behind. Mm-hmm. Like, fight for your life. But if it's Michelle, we're going to see a show.
Yeah.
Well, I just think that I don't necessarily disagree with any of that, but I do think that people are more motivated to go. I mean, we've gone on and on and on and on and on about people getting engaged, right? Yeah. We've spoken about, you got to turn up to these drag queen story hours. You got to go down to the border. You got to make, and all of a sudden it's happening. Like, people have said this on social media when someone said, shame he missed, and now they're getting cancelled. Good. I'm fed up of this, let's just play. They don't care when they cancelled us out of Hollywood.
Like the Jack Black.
We got to go after them because he doesn't stop this ridiculous notion that if we play by, we're the goody two-shoes and we always have the moral high ground, it's utter garbage. Right? Sometimes you got to throw those gloves off and you got to get into the fight. So that's that. Secondly, I'm a big believer of what Bill Burr says, right? About you don't have your plumber come around and fix your plumbing and then have his wife come around and go, do you know, I think you should probably do it like this. You'd be like, what are you doing? I don't want your wife. Your wife is not the plumber. right? So as far as Michelle Obama's concerned, I don't care that she was Barack Obama's wife.
You don't.
You don't.
I know, but you got to remember what's going to go on in there because we've seen fighting already. So you got Michelle Obama. What about Kamala Harris? You think she's just going to sit back and
No,
go, okay.
not if it's Michelle. Not if it's Michelle. Not if it's Michelle.
And you're going to have two women.
Because she'll say, no, you already have the black woman. It's already me.
That's
so
what I'm
how
saying.
do you replace
So
me
they're
with her?
going to fight. There's going to be a lot of internal
But
fights.
that's
I'm
no
here for
fight.
that.
But that's no fight.
I'm here. I'm here for that.
Jacqueline Kamala.
I
Is
don't
she
know.
really unencumbered by what has been?
Unburdened by what has been.
Unburdened by what has been.
She seems to be because she's constantly saying it. All right, we gotta take a quick break. We'll be back with more, but we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So those of you who are living in constant pain, you just think that this is your life now. This is the way things have to be. That is not true. Relief Factor has helped all of us at this table.
Yep.
Actually, Matt's taken Relief Factor. It's worked for him. Jaco and his mom.
Yep. Absolute 100%.
Taking Relief Factor.
I'm taking it now.
Are you?
Yeah. I've got torn meniscus, I told you. And look, inflammation is your enemy.
It is. And it is a thing. I mean, I will say it is a supplement that it does work, but you do need to keep taking it because if you don't, the inflammation is going to strike again and then you're going to be in pain again. So it obviously, it targets the inflammation in your body, which is typically the root cause of your pain. Many people don't realize that. And if you're using a topical cream or you're using, some drugs that make you loopy, you're just masking the problem rather than just getting to the root cause. So try Relief Factor. They've got a 3-week quick start. It's $19.95 and it comes with their guarantee. So you have literally nothing to lose except your pain. Go to relieffactor.com. Go get the 3-week quick start. It is relieffactor.com. So let's talk about the latest with the Trump assassination attempt. And honestly, a couple things. One, how little we know about the shooter, about the motive, but also how seemingly every detail that we do actually know makes this more and more just like, to me, unlikely that it is just incompetency that is at play, okay? Because it just stinks. And it's like, come on, the likelihood of all of these incompetencies all at every single level of this just freaking stinks, all right? So I personally, I know you guys, I don't want to speak for you, but I know you well enough to know that you don't trust the FBI or the Department of Homeland Security to investigate this correctly, to get answers on what the hell happened. How did we have the abysmal failures that we had? These are obviously the same agencies who, they're raiding Mar-a-Lago. They're happy with 91 indictments. So I will say, Speaker Mike Johnson did announce last night that he is having his own congressional oversight investigation. Watch.
We have to have accountability for this. It was inexcusable. Obviously, there were security lapses. You don't have to be a special ops expert to understand that. And we're going to get down to the bottom of it quickly.
Do you think the U.S. Secret Service director should resign?
I'm going to call for her resignation as well. I think it's inexcusable, just beyond the classified parts, the things that we all understand. Her explanation to the media that there was a slant on the roof, so there was safety concern.
There was a slant for the shooter, too.
Come on. I mean,
exactly.
It doesn't wash. And I think she's shown what her priorities are.
Now, this woman, Kimberly Cheatle, the Secret Service director, had the audacity to show up last night at the Republican National Convention where Donald Trump is. Only by the grace of God is he there. No thanks to Kimberly Cheatle or any of her DEI hires. And Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee confronted her in the hallway there. Here's some of that.
This is exactly what you were doing today on the call.
Stonewalling. Attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump answers.
Good for Marsha. She's a champ.
Yeah, she is. What did you think was going to happen when you showed up here?
No, it's like, what?
It's insult to injury. This is how they operate, though. Let's rub it in their face. We shot their guy, and, we're going to keep her on. She's not being terminated. And why don't you go to the RNC convention?
Or
why is she allowed in?
Or I have another take, just in case.
Okay.
What if she's been told that she can't go out and say something? What if people higher up the totem pole?
And
And so what she did was she went there to go and have a discussion, because we don't know all the time the meetings that they have.
Sure.
What if she went there and she said, hey, listen, this is the deal? And then, now they know. By the way, I don't believe that guy's going to go after him anyway. You talk about the FBI. I don't believe the Congress is going to do anything anyway. It's not going to.
I don't necessarily trust Mike Johnson.
I don't. Not even him though. The Congress is feckless. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
If we had a robust media, everyone would be on this right now. They would be forcing them to. I mean, people are looking into it because it's a story, but nobody's really forcing their hand. Right?
Listen. Yesterday evening, we find out the shooter spotted on the roof 20 minutes before the shooting. Secret Service knew he was up on that roof.
It's called in.
How in the world does Donald Trump take that stage?
That was Don Jr. last night. I was so proud of Donnie, and he said this, he had a couple strong words, which you should have stronger words, but he said, look, knowing that they knew what they knew and still, because he wasn't at the rally, he wasn't there. Knowing that they knew what they knew and they still let my father go on stage.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
100% tells me, and I'm speaking for me, not the network, that it's an inside job.
Yes.
End of story.
That's all you need to know.
So was JFK, was an inside job. So was Lincoln, was an inside job. And I just want to say something, which I just want to, right? 46 presidents in our history. Okay, you can argue whether currently we have a president or not, but let's just say for the office. 46 presidents in our history. Seven out of the 46 had been shot. That's 18%. Think of what I'm saying of this country. I don't think there's another nation on earth that's shot 18% of their leaders, right? It is, and every one of them had been inside jobs. Right? So when the shoe fits, right, that deep state or that constant government on the inside opens the back door, gives a key to the terrace in the theater to go shoot Lincoln at point blank range, X, Y, here we go. This is an inside job. I'm absolutely certain of it. It's wait, fire, take him out.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Before the 20 minutes, he's walking around the premises and the property like a lost puppy.
For hours.
Filmed by everybody with a rangefinder and this, and he's stopped by cops.
Right.
Then he's seen by a cop. I mean, come on. You cannot. If one of these things would be a dismal failure, there's like 100 of them. No, it's allowed to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the level of incompetency that you would have to believe they had to allow all of those things to happen just does not, that doesn't make sense.
Well, there's a great interview with Tim Kennedy, if you get to watch it on YouTube, and who is a sniper, is a Green Beret sniper, and he breaks it down, and he breaks down every single element of it, and it is, I mean,
I don't know why you would watch that when you could just watch my interview with Matt,
yours
who is also
as well.
a former
You're promoting
sniper,
a
Green
different.
Beret
You're promoting
sniper,
a different
and
network.
you could go listen to
there's
that
no
instead.
network.
On a different interview, we had a sniper on the show.
Yeah.
Everyone's already seen that.
That's a great point.
Watch it again.
That's
You
a great.
see what I'm saying? Watch it again and then watch. But here's
Tell
the
us,
thing.
please tell us.
No, I mean,
No,
it's
to
great.
your point, how many snipers have we heard? Former snipers who were like saying this
Chad
was an inside
Robichaux,
job.
who's a friend of this network. Chad Robichaux. But please.
It's an hour and a half interview, and he breaks down how they do the site. You know, they do the site plans and everything, and it's utterly shocking.
Yeah.
And you hear someone Tim was out with them with Biden's security detail like a month ago in Paris. He talks about it, so he has intimate knowledge of this. Clearly, he's done it before. It's utterly shocking when you see that. But here's another thing: you're a former soldier. If something like that happened on your watch, you would resign.
Yes.
You wouldn't have to be fired.
Out of dignity of the branch that you're serving.
And you'd say, it's the buck stops with
for
me.
your brothers in arms, for
I'm
the
resigning.
future of the name of Secret Service or Delta or Def Gru, which I wish we could have some Def Gru guys, Delta guys on the security detail for the president, But you would absolutely say, hey, on me, resign, 100%. No,
it's where we are. It's where we.
But she doesn't belong to that community. There's no culture. Again, she's coming from Pepsi. Okay, She doesn't have loyalty to this country. She doesn't have loyalty to defending the office or the man, whoever's president. There's no loyalty. There's no pride in their job. They have a different MO. There's a different agenda here. It's not protect this, Donald Trump.
I mean, I would say if you have the mentality that a sloped roof is too dangerous for your counter snipers to be, then you've lost the plot. You have no idea what you're there for. You have absolutely no idea. The whole point is to put yourself in harm's way in order to protect one of the most important people in the entire world. That is the point.
But the counter snipers were on a sloped roof.
Right, correct. Oh, I know.
I don't know if we can pull that image up. If we have it in control, we probably don't. But they're on a sloped roof. It's a blatant lie. But they get away. They go in front of Congress, and I'm with you. They call Zuckerberg in front of Congress. What happens? Nothing. So, okay, Mike Johnson, you're going to call this. Okay, do your investigation. To what result?
Right.
To Merrick Garland is going to prosecute.
Right.
And by the way, I hate to tell them, like, as a Secret Service agent, your job is to take a bullet for the president. It's kind of dangerous.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, worry less about the sloped roof. Worry less about the sloped roof. Okay. All right. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Obviously, tonight's a really big night. Donald Trump will take the stage at the RNC convention. And there's a lot of speculation on what his speech might be. I know that there were reports that he already had it all planned out and he has written a brand new one since the assassination attempt. Obviously, it will be the most electric night aside from when he entered the stadium the first night. But I want to get your thoughts on what you think. Is he going to be, the mainstream media keeps saying Donald Trump's message is going to be a message of unity. And I'm like, I mean, maybe within the party. I hope that it's not unity with the other side and all of this because, I mean, they want you dead. They want me dead. They want all of us at this table dead. They wanted you to lose your livelihoods during COVID. I mean, they still do. So if it's this message of unity, I'd be curious to know. I mean, obviously, we'll find out tonight, but I'm very curious what that type of unity message will be.
I don't know. I mean, I was watching him yesterday, and
that's not him, right?
No, it's not
delivering
his
some beautiful message of unity.
That man has changed.
He has. He has.
I was going to say last night, watching that, which was a remarkable night, by the way, and I tend to shy away from when people go, "Oh, look, it was so amazing." I'm like, "Look, they're just politicians." But when you saw his son come up there and was clearly emotional, and then you saw his granddaughter come up there, and I was like literally tearing up. I mean, I don't think anyone.
Because humanity entered the building again. We need to get back to humanity.
Well, because just to remember, this is somebody's grandfather.
100%.
This is somebody's father.
Husband.
To just remember for a second.
Barron needs a dad.
As Kai Trump said, he's just a grandpa who gives me candy and soda when my parents aren't looking. Which as a mom, I'm like, ugh, I hate it when my parents do that. Actually, my parents don't do that.
Yeah, he's just he's a billionaire magnate grandfather that does that. That's the president.
Yeah, I'm like,
former president.
I feel like none of your life is regular, okay?
No, but just give you candy. It's gold-plated candy. It's probably the greatest candy.
But at the end of the day, to her, to Kai, he is grandpa.
Yes.
Yeah. He's not president.
100%.
To Barron, is my dad.
Right.
And at the end, we have
Don Jr. and Eric.
And Don Jr. and Eric.
Ivanka.
And all of Ivanka, all of them. And we have to remember when God moved his cheek.
It's unbelievable. Isn't it?
Right? God saved a man. Forget about president. God saved a man so that a boy the next morning had a dad with him. Mm-hmm. Boys, right? That grandchildren still had a grandpa this Christmas. So we have to get back to humanity. So I do think, I don't know if it's this kumbaya unity, I do think it's a let's go America. I do think it's a let's go build a nation. I hope it is what I wanted it to be in the debate. Mm-hmm. In the debate, I wanted him to ignore Biden and speak to America.
Yeah.
Right? I think tonight he speaks to Americans, and I think he speaks from a place of compassion, and I think it's going to be maybe his most heartwarming, in touch message, because humanity because the man has changed. You see it on his face. There's a different look about him. People around him, the gravitas had not quite sunken in yet. But for him and his family, because the private conversations, you must understand, between him and Don, and it's, especially they weren't there. They had a call. Donnie's talking about, I'm calling and I can't get through.
Yeah.
Can't get through. There's moments of just praise God you're here. For moments there, the presidency was out of the conversation. It's just like, Dad, I'm glad you're safe.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
A wife. When Melania wrote, hey, for a minute there, I'm thinking. So I think we see something with weight that could be his best moment.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He did say fight right afterwards.
Yeah, he's not going to, like, that element of him is not going to change.
But that's
the dude
adrenaline,
got off the
big
floor,
time.
but he got off the floor and he did. Look, a lot of other guys would be carrying on the floor and they wouldn't be moving. Let's just be honest about that. I mean, there could have been a second shooter. He was like, in my opinion, he was like, if I'm going out,
I'm going big.
I'm going big.
That's what you want. No, that's what you
They're not going
want.
to pull me down.
Yeah.
And to your point, I was watching yesterday as his son did the speech and then his granddaughter did the speech, and it cut to him. That was a very different man.
Yes.
Like, there's no. I was watching. You could see he was getting upset because he knows. And you never know until it happens to you, right? Like, you can think you're going to react a certain way. I mean, I just thought the way that he behaved was magnificent. I don't know what it is, but what his message is going to be tonight. But I think that he's moved into true greatness in what he did on that day. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Now, at this press conference that I talked about earlier, where Biden's campaign manager said Biden's staying in the race, even though he has COVID, one of their, this is Representative Joyce Beatty from Ohio, that had a very interesting choice of words at that press conference. Watch.
In Donald Trump's America, he took away our rights, hurt middle class, and made life more expensive, all while benefiting his ultra-rich donors and greedy corporations. And as he pursues his extreme Project 2025 agenda, we know a second Trump term would be worse.
Hold on.
So yes, this November we're going to make America great again.
What? That's the other guy. And by the way, how can you make America great again when you guys are in charge?
That's fantastic.
What do you mean make America great again? They're so dumb.
Aren't you just like blown away by how easily they lie and are never challenged on anything that they say? I mean, they could say anything.
It doesn't even surprise me anymore, to be honest.
Anything.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just say it, and because you said it, it is so. Right?
But they're just so stupid. Like, they are the stupidest people.
Well, there's two brain cells and
morons.
One fell off, right? So there's
There's just one. It has nothing to rub together with. Just nothing. It's the little hamster in the wheel. The wheel's stuck. It's broken. Make America great again.
Yeah.